Welcome back to the Gaming News Canada show. I'm your host, Steve McAllister. Over the 4+ years we've been speaking with the brightest minds in the business of betting and gaming, our guests on this show have come from all corners of the world. For some unknown reason, however, the land of Peter Forsberg, Nicholas Lidstrom, the Sedins, Henrik Lundqvist, Mats Sundin, Daniel Alfredsson, and of course ABBA has never been represented in this podcast. That changes today, however, as we will have a conversation with a former professional poker player who 20-something years later is the Chief Executive Officer of Random State. A year after making his first appearance at the Canadian Gaming Summit, Adam Fonsica and his company have a license to thrill in Ontario's open marketplace and hope to be open for business between now and the end of September. Earlier this month, Random State and Oakville-based Delta Bingo Online Gaming announced a partnership around Delta's multiplayer bingo product. And with no further ado, we welcome to the show Adam Fonsica. Adam, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. What an honor to be the first Swede on this podcast.
Well, we tried to get ABBA, but that was a tough one, Adam. So you're definitely a real solid number 2 choice.
Perfect. Sounds amazing.
Adam, on this podcast, we find there are people that in this industry who have really interesting stories, and you certainly fit that bill. So I just want to start, how does a guy who is a professional poker player end up becoming the founder and CEO of a company like Random State?
Yeah, it's a little bit weird in some kind of way, but I was born in the 80s, loved gaming, computers and tech, and I always wanted the things to go a little bit smoother, faster, better, graphical games to become better in many ways. So when online poker was launched in the beginning of the 2000s, me and my friends discovered this very, very early when the UK sports betting site basically launched online poker games. And we found this. We were a bunch of gamers, nerds that really found sort of a gold rush here and made some good money the first couple of years out of this because we know how to play cards and games in many ways. Luckily, I found my wife to be. She said, "This is not a real job. You need to study." And so I got a bachelor in business administration. Played some poker, of course, during the meantime as well. But since it's a quite easy game, it quite quickly became sort of, there were a few poker pros online today in any way. So the gold rush disappeared, and I then happily joined a Swedish lottery operator in 2014 that was going to launch online games and bingo as well. So I joined them and were there for a couple of years. E-commerce was really on the topic there and hot as well. So I really got to leverage on those kind of things, how to make digital sales and work on the B2C side here as well. So that was really interesting time for me. But at the same time, I felt it was a little bit hard, I think, as well for an operator as us. I mean, both in terms of the tech we were sitting at, it was not really built for game innovation and game development in some kind of way, and the ideas I had for product ideas was really hard to execute on in many ways. So that was sort of when the time where I started thinking about how could we build, first of all, a platform that's really good and useful for the operators, and it's really easy to operate themselves, not having to rely on suppliers that makes the games or build bespoke games for very high prices. So we started to said, how hard can it build a iGaming platform, and we started to build that 5 years ago, and launched it 2021, I think it was, with one Swedish lottery operator, launched bingo and online games for them as well, and then got a couple of other Swedish lottery operators on board as well, operating full service on the platform. And then a couple of years later, we are here now, where we now try to build also a very high quality instant games for the lottery market as well to help them develop and make really exciting products for themselves.
Hey, Adam, Random State, is that a translation of the Swedish name for the company, or how did you come up with that brand?
I don't know. I don't. It might be that it was some sort of dream already from the beginning that we were going to abroad over the Atlantic, and so it was some sort of wanted to flirt with the RNG type of thing. That's the core foundation of a lottery. You do things by chance. So we call it random, and then stayed. I don't know. It was just our first brand identities and logos was around trying to mimic some kind of states that's with flirting to the United States in some kind of way. So it was a good name, and one of our co-founders is also a copywriter and runs an agency as well. So I have to give him credit for the name for sure.
Well, listen, two things. One, when you talk about being born in the 80s, that's kind of depressing for me because I was starting my professional career in the 80s. So I wish you hadn't said that. Uh, Secondly, I have to think, and I think you touched on this a little bit, just having that experience as an online poker player and looking at product and that, I have to believe that had an influence and that was very helpful for you when you got into the gaming industry and ultimately started running Random State.
I mean, for sure, I'm a product guy by heart. I mean, I love building product, and I want tech not to be in the way for it to be creative and explore the ideas. So I mean, poker is a fantastic game in many ways because it's player to player based. Then also, of course, I really love bingo as well. I think it's a underestimated iGaming product as well. It's social. You play it multiplayer together with other people. You see how close or how far off you are of winning in many cases as well. And there are a lot of tweaks to do it as well. So I mean, just love to play with the mechanics on how we can win real money, but at the same time making an experience for a player. So that's what we try to innovate on every day at Random States.
I'm pretty sure you're the first guest we've had on the show that's kind of, deals in the iLottery and bingo business. And for me, I remember, when you talk about bingo, you think of the days of the bingo halls with smoke filled rooms, and my parents or my grandparents playing bingo on a Friday night. And then lottery, like my dad's been buying lottery tickets for years. My wife is still even though she's retired now, she still is in a lottery program with some former coworkers of hers who are also retired. You just talk about like what the internet lottery and bingo. What kinds of people are they attracting? Is it a completely different demographic from the folks I just mentioned a second ago?
I mean, it's yeah. I think it's quite different. It's much broader, and it's a little bit. If you look at on sort of the lottery player base, it's in Sweden. I learned I also was a couple of years in the grocery store ecom business as well. And what I get to learn that the second most sold product there after bananas was the lottery ticket. If you compare, so it's I think 75% of the Swedish players plays lottery, and I think it's 4 to 5% around that plays casino games. So it's much broader audience, and I think that is some sort of untapped potential in many markets as well, and especially also since more and more markets get regulated, the line and between what's a casino game or an instant game or just an experience for winning for real money, it gets you can say shaded out in some kind of way. So I think it's if you can convert a lot of the big lottery player base to go online and play for the experience, and at the same time has the chance to win money. I think that is the key to get the market growing and to get acquisitions for the operators as well, to have something unique and different in those kind of ways. And then of course they can convert them to other types of casino games as well. But it's a little bit more casual type of gambling, I would say, lotteries and bingo, both those kind of categories.
And I'm thinking a lot of those people too. I would think for the most part they're probably not gonna they're not gonna convert a lot of them to other games because they are either they're buying lottery tickets or they're playing bingo and they're probably not doing much else. Is that a correct assumption?
I think it will be. I think it will. I mean, in some kind of way, it's true for sure. But I think as if you're if you're a big operator like in Sweden, you have the Svenska Spel, the Swedish state operator. I mean, they offer everything, and then that is usually that same kind of thing in many markets. You offer a big value proposition for the players, so they can pick and choose whatever. And of course, during time players will find new type of games, new type of categories that excites them. In the core driver for everyone, of course, they want to win money in some kind of way and win real money, and then you can dress up in so many different kind of ways. In the terms of how casino games is built up by speed and assumption that you're building up to try to get to the bonus games, to the ones where I just have the feeling that I have the chance to win 1 million today, and I buy a lottery ticket. So it's the same kind of core mechanics, but you just dress them in different kind of ways.
Hey Adam, I have a two-part question for you. The first question is what attracted Random State to applying for a license to operate in Ontario, and then secondly, what are the differences between the markets in Sweden and Ontario?
For the licensing part, it was basically I was 1.5 year ago. I met up with uh, our now advisor for the Canadian gaming market, Amanda Brewer, who at ICE, and we started talking about the possibilities of the Ontario market and especially the bingo market as well in some kind of way. So that ended up being at SBC here in Toronto last year, and started talking to different kind of operators, and also of course with Delta Bingo, and started to talk about that they were looking for a new bingo platform. And with that said, of course, we saw the opportunity, and it takes some time to get the license as well. So we started that process by the end of last year, and we got it, and then of course signed it with our first customer here as well. So that was basically the reason. But also in terms of similarities, I think there are a lot of similarities between the Ontario market and the Swedish market. We also regulated in Sweden a couple of years ago. We have sort of the same spending per capita online by players. We have the same sort of channelization of how many players that plays regulated in those markets. So we have a lot, and we are both hockey nations. So where I think we are having the same mindsets in some kind of way. We like to talk about the weather, and we like to talk about hockey in some kind of way. So there is a lot of similarities. It feels really, really easy to speak a Canadian as a Swede. I think it's and also of course the markets are very similar in many kinds of ways, and both in terms of the opportunities and the challenges we have on them as well. So I think it's a perfect fit for us to launch our first games outside in the North America here.
As part of that, Adam, will Random State will you have an on the ground presence in Ontario, or will you just you'll operate the business and the partnerships you're running with companies like Delta? Will you do that out of Sweden?
If we do that out of Sweden, sorry, the question.
Yeah, I just wonder, will you have staff working in Ontario at some point as as you try to grow the business here, or will everything be done out of Sweden?
I hope so. At the moment, of course, still we are a small company and that is growing, and we take it step by step, and we do it with Sweden as a base. But I love to have people on the ground here as well. We have, as I said, a great advisor here as well that we work on with as well. So I think that's a great way to do it. And yeah, I hope I will have the possibility to grow a lot of customers here and be able to be here as well. And of course, I'll be visiting Delta Bingo, playing bingo in their new bingo hall tomorrow as well. So yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, I should mention we're recording this interview with Adam. He just landed in. This interview is taking place on Monday, June 16th, a day before the start of the Canadian Gaming Summit. So Adam flew in from Sweden on last night on Sunday. Speaking of Delta, what can you talk a little bit about how that partnership came about and about the work that you're going to be doing with that operator?
Yeah, I mean, it started as an introduction, of course, and we started speaking about that they were looking for a new bingo product provider as well. They are the biggest bingo operator here in land-based bingo operator in Canada, and Delta Bingo Online was about to change their iGaming platform, and they were looking for a top quality bingo product that was really user friendly. And I also believe they were looking for some sort of company or supplier like us that also understands bingo really well, that has worked with it on their operator side. Uh, Me myself, when I was on the operator side, we worked with the bingo, and also the surplus went to good causes as well, similar to Delta Bingo as well. So I think we had a lot of similarities in the DNA of what a bingo product can be, how it should be, and also how to evolve it, of course. And then since we have a modern tech stack and a platform, it's easy for us as well to make adaptations and also think about the omnichannel perspective in how they can leverage their great presence on the land-based side, and also convert that and acquire players to the online side, so they feel at home both online and in the land-based bingo halls.
Yeah, and I mean, just wonder if there are any differences, when you talk to operators or suppliers about customer experience and product, and they talk about registration being easy and being able to deposit withdraw money being important, and of course everybody's talking about responsible gaming these days and having those tools in place for customers. Is it the same story for iLottery and online bingo players in terms
Yeah,
of
I
the
mean, of
product?
course, yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, you have to make it easier for the customer and the player, of course, and work a lot in the UX design and mobile first design and everything around that. Of course, that of course in some kind of way lies more on in the operator's hands to optimize those kind of things and convert thing optimization this. What we really try to do is to give the operator the tools, the possibility to launch a bingo game every week if they want to as well, to work on the product side, so they can launch new fresh products to their players as well, so they have good social interactions, how they can add gamification to the product and stuff like that. So our purpose is really to try to give the operator the best possible experience to be able to launch as many products as they want, and also of course be able to manage this in the easiest and best possible ways.
Yeah, can you, for someone who, again, my bingo experiences go back to the days of having the cards and, blotting or Xing out B10 on my card. Can you just walk me through, and I'm figuring some of my audience members as well who listen to this podcast, just what an online bingo experience is like.
I mean, you in some kind of way you try to mimic it, of course,
Right.
as you do with the bingo halls. But the beautiful thing about digital products is that you can, of course, tweak them so you never miss a win, even if you miss the dot, and you can make a lot of different kinds of tweaks. We have some kind of nice features where we have the operator can set a pot booster, so randomly a rocket turns up and they can boost the pot up to X thousand or wherever you want to set it at. So it happens something exciting at start of some games. That's something special, because usually bingo just the whoever it just finishes up at the end in some kind of way. We also have some social features. So if one player wins the jackpot, the rest of the players participating gets to share half of the jackpot. So everyone wins in terms of, so you can also share for your other people. We have a great chat, the multiplayer chat. So I think it's much more social in some kind of way than in a bingo hall. Of course, you can talk to your neighbor there, but here you can talk with everyone who's participating in a bingo round. And of course, you can mix it up with different kinds of variations. So you can have double action, you can bingo. You can mix and match the different kinds of bingo runs in some kind of way. So I think there's a lot of things that are better with a digital bingo experience in some kind of way as well.
It feels to me like, there's so many options out there for people who want to spend money on gambling these days. And, of course, the sports betting and online poker and online gaming and daily fantasy. And that it doesn't feel so much to me, and maybe you'll tell me I'm wrong, but it doesn't feel so much as that you're competing with a sports betting operator or an online gaming operator. Is that there's a lane for all these products in the gaming industry. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I think it's of course it's so many different kinds of game categories, and there are different flavors for different kinds of players in many ways. And as I said, I mean, bingo is of course a little bit niche. It's in most markets. It's around like 5 to 10% of the players that plays, and in some markets no one knows about bingo even. And then there are some bigger ones, of course, as well. But in terms of the lottery perspective, it's much broader than the casino games and most markets in some kind of way. If you think about Lotto, how many players who plays Lotto around the world, how many plays buy scratch cards in some kind of way, and still also in terms of the iLottery industry, I think it's only around 7 to 8% of the total 300 billion GGR in lottery sales that are online. And in the Nordics, for instance, 50% of the iLottery of the lottery sales is online already. So that is something really exciting to be a part of, to be able to supply new innovative digital lottery product as that market digitalizes in many markets as well.
We often hear about cannibalization in North America and this kind of tug of war between land-based gambling and online gambling. And it seems to me that Delta, they've made a smart decision to go down the road and realizing that you can be successful with both your land-based business and your digital business. And I would think that bingo, they really complement each other, because I can't imagine most people want to go to a bingo hall five days a week, but it's nice to have that Friday night when you go with your friends or your family to a bingo hall, and at the same time you can play 2 or 3 times a week online.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, when I was on the lottery operator side, we had both retail and online, of course, and I was never afraid of cannibalization. It's. I mean, you compete with the players for time and money, basically, with all kinds of products and spend they have. So you have to basically fulfill all their kind of needs and be offering the best experience, of course, both offline and online in some kind of way. And then you can of course prioritize what you want to do, but I'm a little bit, I mean, surprised sometimes about especially in the US, for instance, where you are very protective about the land-based gambling, and where the states where they have legalized and gone online with the iLottery business, it has just grown. It hasn't cannibalized in any kind of shape or form. That is, it's not so. It's just for the best for the operator and also for the states that can collect more taxes as well. So cannibalization, I'm usually not a fan of to see as a threat in some kind of way.
Hey Adam, as the CEO of a pretty small company, I'm thinking that you wear a lot of different hats, but I just wonder kind of what's your focus these days, or what gets you most excited about work when you get up in the morning?
Wow, it's a lot of different kind of tasks, but it's of course to be able to fulfill sort of the need you had on the operator side, and try to fulfill that on the supplier side, and of course being at the in the corner of the world in a small Nordic country is of course really exciting to be able to work with a product offering that it's is available to globally to a lot of markets around the world, and get the opportunity to see that happen when you launch in different kinds of markets. So that is sort of the most fulfilling thing, and of course be able to deliver on some fantastic products as well. That's I love building games and products that are great for the players.
Hey, Adam, just I'd love to get a few comments from you just on how easy or what the process was to get licensed in Ontario. And again, I'll ask you because it seems we ask everybody who's on the podcast these days about Alberta, and that I'm sure you're going to hear that a lot at the gaming summit this week. But just what plans, if any, Random State has for Alberta, and if you would have advice for the policymakers in Alberta when they're creating this marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, for the licensing process, I think it was really smoother than expected. We did a lot of as a small company, you do a lot of of the execution of that kind of paperwork as well yourself, and I thought it was really clear and easy in many ways. We have the Swedish business to business supplier license as well, so of course that helps out when you have other licenses as well. But I think it was a really great process, and I think they should have credits to being as a smooth gaming authority as well to work with in many ways. Um, for Alberta, of course, yeah. I mean, by no means I'm an expert, of course, on this, and there's a lot of people that,
Right.
but I hear things as well, of course. But I think they should look very much to make it them easy for themselves. It's just my 5 cents, and look on the Ontario because I think it seems like Ontario doing very well in many ways in terms of uh, how it's growing and how many operators they have gone and be able to give in licenses. Then it's also always the tax question as well. In Sweden, they raised the taxes from 18 to 22% last year. The channelization grade is going down. Actually, in Sweden, it's of course partly because of this, but it's I wouldn't say it's all about taxes. It's many different other kind of reasons as well. But it's you have to be careful as well how you taxate it as well, because otherwise the risk versus the reward for the non-regulated operators will be higher, of course. So it's better to make it a win-win situation for every player as well.
You mentioned taxation, and in the U.S. right now, there's a real. I think it's an uphill battle for legal operators, given that tax rates are rising in several states that have legal online sports betting right now, and there doesn't seem to be much of an appetite to expand legal online gaming beyond the 7 or 8 states that have legalized it. What are your thoughts on Random State entering the U.S.?
It's a little bit different for us since we try to work with the state lottery operators. So it's a matter of more about not if they get regulated or not, because they can choose our products basically as a supplier for the lottery content if they are online. So there is from our perspective, it's more important that state lotteries takes the discussion and gets approval from the state to be able to work online. But again, as you say as well, everyone is in the iGaming industry, of course, is always waiting to for the big states to get regulated. It's of course really intriguing to follow and and watch the news to see when something happens. But as for me, as for everyone else, I think it's everyone is a little bit disappointing that it's going as slow as it is in some kind of way. The expectation has been higher that it would go faster on the regulated side in the US.
Hey, Adam, last question, and just because you are so entrenched on the product side of your company, and I just wonder how much the company is using artificial intelligence these days in your business.
I mean, I love artificial intelligence. That's my daily go-to dose of news in some kind of way, and trying out as much as possible. I mean, we try to leverage it and be on par to make the most of it. Still, as most companies still struggle with it, it's the use cases where it's really valuable, and you can just go down the rabbit hole. But we use it for generating IDs, mockups, and those kind of things. Of course, our developers is working to build a foundation for some kind of frameworks and those kind of stuffs as well. So I mean, we follow it really closely, and it's of course also really helps in the administrative work as a small company as well, and those kind of things as well. So it's a lot of help, and we follow it really closely, and as you spoke about companies being digital first a couple of years ago, now you try to adapt to the AI first mentality in some kind of way. So we try to stay ahead on that in that case, but not, of course, overestimate the possibilities with it either.
That is Adam Fonsica, the Chief Executive Officer of Random Straight. Adam, really great to get you on the podcast. You're a great ambassador for your country, and
Thank you.
we're look forward to getting you back on the Gaming News Canada show as you continue to grow your business in Canada.
Thank you so much, Steve. It was a pleasure being here.
That's it for this episode of the Gaming News Canada show. As always, you can find us at gamingnewscanada.ca on the various podcast platforms and also on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much to Adam Fonsica again for joining us today, and we will see everybody again very soon.